1,000 words, one plain paragraph. The wind rolled low, across the empty plains as if carrying the old ghosts of the frontier on its back, brushing over broken fences, dry sagebrush, and a river that glittered like a blade under the afternoon sun. Jackson Rourke, a hardened rancher known across 3 counties for his grit and iron resolve, wasn't expecting that day to turn into anything more than another brutal test of survival. But destiny rarely asks permission before it strikes. He found her just beyond the canyon, bloody, exhausted, kneeling against a boulder as though the land itself had claimed her. She was a stranger to him, yet there was something fire-eyed and unbroken about her, even in that shattered state. He rushed toward her, boots carving the dust, and when he reached her trembling frame, his hands caught her arms before she collapsed fully to the ground. She gasped as though fighting the world with each breath. "Easy," Jackson murmured, believing she'd been chased or wronged by someone. "You're safe now. I'm not here to hurt you." She shook her head. Curls stuck to her face with sweat and grit, and whispered, "Don't stop." He froze, thinking she meant the pain, thinking she was pleading with him not to leave. Her in the middle of her suffering. But her eyes, when she opened them fully, told a different story. They burned with a depth of emotion he didn't yet understand. Jackson assumed she was delirious, speaking in fragments, but there was an unmistakable warmth hidden beneath her panic, an unspoken plea for connection rather than rescue. He helped her sit upright against the rock, steadying her shoulders as the river murmured behind them. She hissed as a bolt of pain ran through her ribs, and he realized she'd been fleeing on foot for miles, maybe days. Her clothes were torn, but not by violence, by the relentless battle with the land. Jackson pulled his canteen from his saddle and lifted it to her lips. She drank desperately, like someone tasting life again. "What happened?" he asked gently. She hesitated, scanning the horizon as though expecting danger to emerge from the brush. "People don't usually run from nothing," Jackson added. Finally, she answered, voice low. "I wasn't running from danger. I was running toward something. Toward someone." Jackson tilted his head. "Someone?" She nodded weakly. "A man. A rancher near the river valley. They said he could help me." A strange twist of fate tightened in Jackson's chest. "What's his name?" Her breath caught. Jackson Rourke. His own name, spoken by a complete stranger who had crawled across half the frontier to find him, left him speechless, grounding him in a way even the hardest battles hadn't. She clung to his sleeve, whispering again, "Don't stop. Don't let go." Only then did he realize she wasn't speaking. Of pain, she feared losing the first safe set of hands she had found in a long time. Jackson helped her stand, his heart pounding in a way it hadn't in years, as if the earth itself had shifted beneath him. Her legs buckled, so he wrapped an arm around her waist, guiding her toward his horse. The woman wasn't weak, far from it. She fought her exhaustion with a will that humbled him. When she tried to mount the horse, he steadied her again, and she gripped his arms with fierce urgency. "Don't stop helping me," she whispered this time, voice steadier. Jackson swallowed hard, realizing her earlier words had been misunderstood. She wasn't pleading for the pain to continue. She was pleading for hope not to leave her. The river glimmered behind them as if watching this unspoken bond form. From dust and desperation, Jackson lifted her onto the horse with surprising gentleness. For a man known for his calloused hands and war-weathered spirit, her head leaned against his shoulder as he adjusted the reins. He didn't know who she was, where she had come from, or why she needed him specifically, but as the sun dipped low and the world painted itself gold, he knew one thing. Her arrival would change everything in the quiet valley he had called home for years. Without understanding why, he vowed silently to protect her, no matter the cost. And as he began leading the horse down the trail toward his ranch, the whisper still echoed in his mind, "Don't stop." A fragile request that felt less like fear and more like the beginning of something powerful, something neither of them yet understood. 1,000 words, one plain paragraph. Night settled over Rourke Ranch with a silence that felt almost sacred, broken only by the crackle of the fire Jackson lit outside, the small cabin he used for tending wounded travelers and stray cattle. The woman, who finally introduced herself as Elena Hart, sat wrapped in a warm blanket, her posture tense yet softening slowly as the fire's glow danced across her face. Jackson prepared a pot of herbal tonic the old frontier healers swore by. Stirring it quietly as he studied her from the corner of his eye, there was something noble in her exhaustion, something unspoken behind every shallow breath she took. Once she had regained enough strength to sit upright, she began to tell her story. She had traveled across 3 states searching for her missing brother, who had last been seen near the valley Jackson now protected. Rumors spread that a powerful land baron had captured drifters and homesteaders, forcing them into illegal labor camps. When Elena tried to investigate, she became a target. She wasn't running from a specific enemy that day. She was running from despair, chasing the only hope she had left, the name of Jackson Rourke, a rancher rumored to be a man who never left someone in need behind. Jackson listened carefully, rubbing his jaw as the fire flickered in his scarred eyes. "You came all this way for me?" he asked. She nodded. "People said you were the kind of man who protects those who can't protect themselves." Jackson scoffed under his breath. "People exaggerate." "Not today," she said softly. He felt her words carve through him, deeper than any bullet or blade ever had. He wasn't used to being seen, truly seen, especially not by someone as brave and determined as Helena. She reached out suddenly, touching his wrist. "Earlier, when I told you don't stop," Jackson stiffened, remembering the confusion, the flush of heat, the fear in her voice. Elena looked into the fire, not meeting his eyes. "I meant don't stop holding on to me. I've been alone for so long. I just didn't want the world to let go of me again." Her voice cracked. Just a little. Jackson felt the truth of her words, raw and trembling, and something shifted inside. Him, a protective, heat rising from old ashes he thought had died years ago. He took her hand gently, holding it without a word. The contact didn't feel like rescue or responsibility. It felt like recognition. 2 souls battered by the same wind, finally finding something that didn't hurt. As the night deepened, Elena leaned back against the log wall, exhaustion melting into trust. "You're different from what I expected," she murmured. Jackson raised a brow. "Better or worse?" "Stronger," she said. "Kinder." He huffed, looking away as though the fire suddenly fascinated him. "You don't know me well enough to say that." "I know enough," she replied. Her certainty shook him. Most people feared him, respected him, or needed him. No one had believed in him so quickly, so sincerely. When she asked if he would help her find her brother, Jackson didn't hesitate. "Of course," he said. "I'll ride with you at dawn." Something warm flickered between them, rising like the fire's glow, a promise shaped by courage and desperation. As she finally slept beside the hearth, Jackson kept watch outside the cabin, staring at the horizon as if daring the darkness to challenge them. He felt the whisper again, not in his ears this time, but deep in his chest. "Don't stop." A plea, a bond, a beginning. By dawn, when Elena opened her eyes and found Jackson already saddling the horses, she realized he wasn't protecting her out of duty. He was protecting her because he wanted to. And as they rode out toward the valley where danger waited, Elena felt something she thought she had lost: hope. Meanwhile, Jackson rode beside her with a silent vow burning in his heart. He would help her find her brother. He would face whatever enemy stood in their path, and he would never again misunderstand the softness in her voice when she whispered, "Don't stop," because now he knew what she truly meant. "Don't stop believing in me. Don't stop being the man I came for. Don't stop being the one thing in this wild world that feels like home." And as the sun climbed over the canyon walls, the frontier opened before them, not as a place of fear, but as the stage for a story that was only just beginning.